Discover the incredible, heartwarming meals medieval castles served on life-changing cold nights. The chilling wind howled around their little Maplewood home, seeping through the cracks and clinging to Clara's bones. A warm meal had the power to erase the cold, to bring her small family together even just for a moment. Every night she flipped through her grandmother's treasured recipe book, trying to lift their spirits with the aroma of stews and pies, evoking memories of warmth and laughter. It was a balm for her weary soul, a way to wrap her son, Ethan, and herself in a cocoon of nostalgia. But life had a way of tangling the soul's intentions, and as a single mother working 2 jobs, finding the energy to create those memories felt like fighting a winter storm. Ethan, her 13-year-old boy, often preferred the company of worn-out medieval tomes to that of his peers. The weight of his introversion seemed heavy on snow-drenched nights, and Clara longed to break through his guarded shell. One cold evening, while rummaging through the attic for holiday decorations, Clara stumbled upon an old cookbook filled with medieval meals recipes that promised festivity in every bite. She could almost feel the warmth of a roaring castle fire, flickering shadows dancing across stone walls. Inspired, Clara envisioned a community dinner at the neighborhood center, hoping to reignite the bonds that seemed to fray. Her heart raced at the thought of families gathering around an abundant table, sharing stories of warmth just as she and Ethan did in those fleeting moments. But when she excitedly pitched her idea to the neighbors, her vision was met with scoffs. Sarah, the affluent matriarch of the neighborhood, raised an eyebrow, dismissing the whole affair as outdated. "Who celebrates medieval times these days?" she sneered. A chill ran down Clara's spine, not from the winter air, but from the weight of others' doubt. The seeds of doubt sprouted in her mind, whispering that perhaps her dream was too lofty. Yet as she drove home, her heart thumped with resilience. Armed with her grandmother's lore, she penned invitations to families who, like them, had seen better days, tapping into the communal spirit that once thrived in Maplewood. Days sped by, and as the dinner neared, Clara was met with a series of setbacks: a rare spice gone, ingredients flying off the shelves. Skeptics continued to shake their heads, questioning her ability to pull it off. But Ethan, with a spark of quiet genius, turned to his historical knowledge. "We can adapt, Mom. Just like they did back then," he said, offering alternatives that transformed their evening into a culinary adventure, combining ingredients with creativity born from necessity. The night of the dinner arrived, and as Clara set the tables, an unexpected guest appeared: Jack, the local veteran, weathered but dignified. His presence commanded the room. He stepped forward, sharing a heartfelt story of how a simple meal once lifted his spirits in dire times. Eyes widened, and hearts began to soften. Conversations flowed like wine, laughter replaced doubt, and Clara dared to hope. Yet, as the dinner unfolded, old prejudice lingered just beneath the surface. It was almost electric, a tension that threatened to unravel. But Clara, gathering her courage, stood tall, seeking the strength that history taught her. Would sharing this meal heal the rifts woven tightly in Maplewood? Just as hope began to fill the room, a mishap caused the evening to veer off course, leaving the air thick with uncertainty. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As silence settled, Clara caught Sarah's eye across the table. Would the night's chaos finally lead to understanding? Or would skepticism win, creating divisions too deep to bridge? Hope flickered in Clara's chest, as tantalizing and fragile as the meal that had brought them together. Would the promise of warmth be enough to thaw the frost that had long settled over their community? The tension in the room felt thick enough to slice. Clara stood frozen, her heart racing, as she stole glances between Sarah and the hungry crowd. Ethan's face mimicked her own uncertainty, his brows furrowed in concern. The dinner was meant to be an oasis in the storm, a bridge across divides, but now it was in peril, hanging by a thread. Unexpectedly, The air crackled as Jack stepped up again, sensing the unease. "I remember a time," he began, voice steady, "when we sat around a table with strangers, bonded by a single meal. It's more than food, folks, it's a connection." His words swept through the crowd, mixing with the scent of warm bread and savory stew. Clara's breath caught in her throat, her heart pounding in harmony with the rhythm of Jack's voice. "Just like my mother used to say," he continued, "a good meal is made for sharing. It doesn't matter where we come from." Clara saw Sarah's expression flicker. A crack in the armor, perhaps? Hope blossomed, fragile but vibrant. Encouraged, Clara found her voice. "Exactly. We've all faced hard times, but it's in those moments that we discover our strength. Tonight is about more than just the food, it's about coming together." She took a step forward, the warmth of her own determination pushing back against the chill. With each word, the audience shifted uncomfortably, but some leaned in, eager for more. Sarah's skepticism hung in the air, but she remained silent, the flickering candlelight casting shadows across her face. Clara felt a surge of courage. Here, we're celebrating not just meals from the past but the ties that bind us, even in hard seasons. And just as she thought she might lose them, a child's laughter rang out from the corner where a table filled with absurdly large turkey legs sat. The sound was pure and bright, a reminder of simpler joys amidst the shadows of adulthood. At that moment, Clara spotted a few neighbors exchanging smiles, real smiles, not the hesitant ones from before. The ice began to crack, not just in the atmosphere but in hearts and minds. Ethan caught Clara's gaze, and his eyes glinted with the light of understanding. Perhaps they could change things together, one meal at a time. As the dishes were passed around, Sarah spoke up, her tone unexpectedly soft. "I suppose it doesn't hurt to try something different now and then." The words rolled off her tongue like a small offering. Clara felt a warmth swell in her chest. Could it be? They served plates piled high with hearty portions, their laughter replacing nerves, igniting connection. Each bite seemed to melt the chill of division. Clara noticed Ethan chatting with kids his age while Jack shared more of his stories with a rapt gathering. But as plates emptied and voices grew louder with camaraderie, Clara felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her again. What would happen when the evening closed? Would these newfound connections endure, or would they be forgotten by tomorrow? With that thought hanging in the air, a loud crash interrupted the merriment. The tables jolted as someone accidentally knocked over a bowl of gravy. Laughter turned into gasps, and Clara's heart dropped. Would this be the moment they splintered apart? As Clara rushed to assess the chaos, her mind raced with a question: could a single moment of misfortune quench the peace they'd just built? With hope teetering on the edge, she took a breath and turned back to the swirling crowd, ready to see what would happen next. Was this a test of their bonds, or the perfect opportunity to strengthen them? Clara couldn't tell, but she was determined to find out. The gasps faded quickly, replaced by a chorus of laughter and playful shouts. Clara held her breath, watching as people began to leap into action. The spill was more than just a mess, it was a shared experience, ripe for levity. The initial shock was transforming into something beautiful, a reminder of their humanity. Ethan was the first to react, springing into motion. He grabbed a few napkins off a nearby table and rushed to help. Clara felt a swell of admiration as he tried to mop up the gravy, his laughter mingling with the crowd. "It's not a party until the gravy hits the floor," he joked, making everyone chuckle. Clara couldn't help but smile. Could humor be a bridge through this chaos? Jack was right behind him, lifting the bowl, grinning widely. "Well, now we have a story to go with our meal." His words carried through the room like a crowd-pleasing punchline, prompting giggles and soft applause. The tension was fading, and more people were rising to lend a hand. Clara found herself infused with hope. If they could laugh at a bowl of gravy, perhaps they could laugh at their differences too. She stepped forward, taking charge with a gentle spirit. "Let us have some fun with this," she said, brushing her hands together. "How about a little contest? Who can create the fanciest gravy sculpture with what's left?" Much to her surprise, a few hands shot up, eager to participate. Laughter erupted as people began to gather around the table, excitedly scrambling for bits of food and dipping sauces to showcase their creativity. Sarah stood off to the side, watching. Clara caught her eye and gave her a warm smile. For the first time, Sarah returned it, a flicker of warmth crossing her normally guarded features. From that distance, Clara could see the wall between them beginning to break down, just like it was with a number of others. As the gravy sculptures took form, some cleverly crafted, others, hilariously mismatched, everyone forgot their evening worries. It felt like real camaraderie was beginning to take shape, and Clara drank in the joyous energy that filled the room. This wasn't just about food anymore. This was about people, laughter, and connection. But as the merriment grew, Clara felt a twist in her stomach. Tomorrow was looming, with its challenges and the long nights ahead. Would these fleeting moments of connection last? Could they truly stand the test of time? As she scanned the crowd, their faces bright with joy, Clara felt a resolve solidify within her. They had to talk tomorrow, to sustain this momentum. To turn this spark into a steady flame. As if sensing her thoughts, Ethan approached her, a playful grin plastered to his face. "Did you ever think a spilled bowl of gravy could be the highlight of the night?" he quipped, glancing over at the almost absurdly artistic creations. Clara laughed, but her heart was thundering in anticipation. "Maybe, but it also makes me think about what we do next." Ethan's eyebrows shot up, curiosity evident in his gaze. "What do you mean?" Before she could respond, the crowd erupted in cheers, a wave of energy washing over them. Clara smiled, feeling the power of what they had begun. But tomorrow's conversation weighed heavy. Would they really open up to each other, or would they shrink back to their former selves? With that question hanging in the air, she turned to join the crowd, ready to bask in the joy of the moment, even while preparing for the important talk that would follow. Little did they know, the morning light would bring more than just a new day. It would reflect the true strength of what they had built together. Would they be brave enough to face that light? The next morning dawned with a soft light that slipped through Clara's window. She lay there, tangled in her sheets, still wrapped in the warmth of last night's laughter. Yet, the thought of what lay ahead sent a shiver through her. The conversations that needed to happen, the truths that hung unspoken, felt heavier than the velvet curtains in her bedroom. After a quick breakfast, Clara stepped outside, letting the cold air hit her face. It felt refreshing, like a new beginning. As she made her way to the gathering place, her heart raced. What if no one was ready? What if they weren't willing to dig deeper? The scent of pancakes wafted through the air as she approached the venue. The tables, now adorned with simple but inviting decorations, reminded her of the celebration that had unfolded just hours before. It was hard to believe they had shared such joy over a bowl of gravy. Would they be able to convert that moment into lasting change? Clara spotted Ethan chatting with a group of people, his smile infectious as he recounted a particularly funny moment from the night before. She felt an urge to join him, but hesitation held her back. Instead, she glanced around, searching for familiar faces. Sarah stood alone, her expression contemplative as she stared at the ground. Maybe I should start with her, Clara thought. With quick strides, Clara approached Sarah, who glanced up with surprise. "Hey," Clara greeted gently. "How are you feeling?" There was a moment of silence that spoke volumes. Clara could see Sarah was processing more than just the events of the previous night. But instead of responding, she shifted her gaze, avoiding Clara's eyes. Clara's chest tightened. "Look, I know last night was wild," Clara began, her voice steady but soft. "But I really think we have a chance to connect. To really understand each other." Sarah's expression flickered between vulnerability and guardedness. "What if we don't want to connect?" The words tumbled out almost defensively. "That's okay. But if we don't try, then nothing changes," Clara said, hopeful that her sincerity would reach Sarah's heart. "I've seen the walls come down a little. What we had last night, thankful for those moments. I just think we can build on it." With a sigh, Sarah finally met Clara's gaze. "And what if I'm scared? What if I can't handle talking about feelings?" Clara's heart softened. "It's okay to be scared. We can take it slow. Just one step at a time? As the two stood amidst the lingering traces of last night's fun, an unexpected sound echoed around them, a nervous chuckle from a few nearby. Several others were listening in, intrigued. "Don't mind us," Jack chimed in, his voice light with a hint of warmth. "We could all use a little honesty today." The circle of friends seemed to magnetically pull together, Clara's initial reservation about starting a conversation dissipating. She felt the weight of their collective energy filling the air around them. As they gathered, sharing their thoughts and apprehensions, a sense of courage began to swell. Maybe this was the moment for change. Each word was a carefully placed brick, pulling down the walls built by their differences. But just as Clara began to feel a flicker of hope, something unexpected interrupted the flow. A loud crash came from the back. Everyone turned instinctively, and Clara's heart dropped. It was Ethan, his hands full of plates, a look of shock carved across his face. What will follow this disruption? Could this be the moment that derails everything? Or will it become another opportunity to bond? The plates shattered on the floor like fragile dreams. Clara's heart raced as she rushed over to Ethan, who stood frozen amid the chaos, eyes wide and cheeks flushed with embarrassment. The laughter that had been building moments before turned into a wave of murmurs and concerned glances. "Ethan! Are you okay?" Clara asked, kneeling beside the scattered pieces of porcelain. She could see the tips of his fingers trembling. "I'm fine, just trying to balance too much," he stammered, glancing at the mess. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "It's all right, really. It happens," Clara reassured him, helping him gather the broken plates. The shards felt sharp in her fingers, but she ignored the sting, focusing on the task at hand. Sarah emerged from behind Clara, and for the first time, Clara saw a hint of a smile tugging at her lips. "I think any good conversation needs a little chaos to stir things up," she said, her tone light. Ethan chuckled, the tension easing from his shoulders. "Yeah, maybe this is the wake-up call we need. Great food, even better conversations. I just got a little overambitious." Suddenly, Clara felt the chatter around them shift. The group that had been so introspective moments ago now buzzed with energy. What once felt fragile and uncertain began to take on a more solid form. "How about we all pitch in?" Jack exclaimed, stepping forward with enthusiasm. "Let us replace those plates and create something together, something that matters." A collective nod of agreement rippled through the small crowd, and Clara felt warmth bloom in her chest. They weren't just talking about emotions anymore, they were taking action. Sarah's smile widened, and Clara could feel the invisible walls that had surrounded each of them begin to crumble, piece by piece. "Okay, team," Clara said, her voice ringing with confidence. "Let us get organized. Who can help with the food, and who can help clean up?" She watched as hands shot up, a renewed spirit sparked by this moment of unplanned chaos. As they moved about, each person took on a role. Sarah and Ethan began discussing the next dish they could prepare, while Jack and a couple of others tackled the cleanup. Clara found herself bouncing between groups, laughing and sharing small bits of her heart along the way. It felt freeing, like a weight had been lifted. But in the midst of the laughter, Clara noticed Sarah lingering at the edge of the activity. There was a flicker of apprehension still resting in her eyes, even as she participated. Clara caught her gaze and gave a soft smile, silently assuring her that it was okay to be scared but also to take risks. "Want to join in?" Clara asked, motioning for Sarah to come closer. "Yeah, I guess I could help," she said, her voice uncertain but willing. Clara could feel hope surge inside her. Even if this was a grand transition, each small step was a victory. As the atmosphere thickened with collaboration and camaraderie, the former nervous energy transformed into something tangible: friendship, laughter, and shared experiences. Just then, Ethan, smiling wider than Clara had ever seen, emerged from the back with a fresh batch of dough, flour dusting his shirt. "Who's ready to get their hands messy?" he called out, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Count me in!" Clara shouted, her spirit lifted. Just then, she realized something remarkable was unfolding here: not just food preparation, but the making of bonds, the shaping of hearts and understanding. But as the group began to rally, another crash resounded, not a plate this time, but something else entirely. Clara froze, her heart pounding. What had happened now? Was this moment of connection about to be disrupted again? Ethan's face turned pale, and suddenly, all eyes were on the back of the venue, where a towering shelf of supplies teetered dangerously. Clara could almost feel the air shift. What would this mean for their newfound bond? The room fell silent, tension hanging thick like fog. Clara's heart raced as she shifted her gaze to the shelf, now rigged to tumble. The shelves stacked furiously with jars and boxes held years of memories, of recipes yet untasted. No, 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 she breathed, the words barely escaping her lips. Jack darted toward the shelf, arms outstretched. His determination pierced through the stillness. He lunged just in time, catching the edge with both hands. A sigh of relief swept through the group, but it quickly morphed into panic as he struggled to hold it steady. The others rushed to help, pushing against the wood while Jack held on for dear life. The sound of objects clattering filled the room again, but this time it was more like a crescendo, a choir of chaos, as jars began to slip from their positions. Clara's instincts kicked in. "Everyone, grab something!" she shouted. Ethan sprang into action, grabbing a large cardboard box and positioning it underneath the shelf to catch the falling items. Sarah joined him, shirt sleeves rolling up, determination lighting her eyes. Clara felt fire ignite within her, urging her to overcome the fear holding them back. "Together!" Clara cried, rallying them. "We can do this! Just a few more seconds!" Each person concentrated, breath quickening with anticipation. It was teamwork, pure and simple, a blend of hesitation and eagerness. A few stray jars broke, but Clara barely noticed as they caught one precarious box after another. Finally, with one huge push, the shelf jolted securely back against the wall. A cheer erupted among them, hearts lifting, washing away the fear like rain on thirsty soil. Clara looked around at the faces shining with adrenaline, relief blooming like spring flowers. "See? We made it through that together!" she exclaimed, laughter bubbling forth and weaving through the air. Ethan wiped dust from his hands and stepped forward, brushing flour off his shirt, a bright grin breaking through. "That was intense! Who knew we had a rescue mission in us?" His laugh felt contagious, reverberating through the group like sweet music. Clara glanced at Sarah, who was emitting a tentative smile. "You know, chaos can actually be quite fun," Sarah whispered, almost as if to herself, her eyes sparkling with newfound confidence. "Exactly," Clara responded, her heart fluttering with hope. They had faced real danger together, and it had deepened their connection. But just as the small victories washed over them, Ethan's gaze shifted to the corner of the room, eyes narrowing. "What is that?" Clara turned to look. A shadow loomed, a person standing at the entrance, a figure cloaked in uncertainty. They hesitated, uncertainty cut across their face, and Clara felt the buzz of tension bubbling back into the atmosphere. "Who is that?" Sarah asked, tilting her head slightly. The laughter faded, curiosity intertwining with caution. "Do we know them?" Jack murmured, squinting, trying to discern the stranger's identity. Clara felt an odd mix of excitement and apprehension. What could this new presence mean? Would they disrupt this fragile peace they'd created, or could they add to the warmth that was growing among them? The figure stepped forward, the atmosphere shifting once again. Clara caught her breath, knowing that whatever happened next could change everything. The figure moved into the light, revealing a young woman with tousled hair and weary eyes, as if she had been wandering for days. Clara felt a rumble of concern deep in her stomach. Who was this stranger, and why were they here? Hello?" the woman said, her voice shaky yet hopeful, as she glanced around the room. "I hope I'm not interrupting. I heard voices." Clara stepped forward, heart hammering. "You're not interrupting at all. We just had a little mishap." She gestured to the shelf, the remnants of chaos barely visible among the intact jars. "Can we help you?" The woman hesitated, seeming to weigh her options. "I'm looking for a place to rest. I'd been traveling all day, and I didn't know if anyone would take me in." She shifted nervously, her gaze flitting from one person to another. Ethan took a step closer. Of course. We have room. What's your name? Lila, she replied, a fragile smile breaking through her obvious fatigue. Clara could sense the weight of her journey etched in her features. There was something in Lila's eyes that spoke of loss, of longing, a bond they could share. Clara, she said with a reassuring smile. This is Jack, Ethan, and Sarah. You're safe here. As Lila crossed the threshold, the group moved aside to give her space. She looked relieved, like a flower catching sunlight after a rainstorm. Thank you? Where are you coming from? Jack asked gently while gesturing toward a chair. Where Lila hesitated as she settled down. I was part of a group headed to the next town, but we were separated. I ended up here. A shadow fell back across her face, and Clara could feel the heaviness in the air. What happened? Clara asked, her voice soft. She was drawn in, wanting to know Lila's story, to understand the battle she seemed to carry within. The room grew quiet as Lila inhaled deeply. There was an accident. We were attacked, and it got chaotic. I lost track of everyone. Her voice broke, and it was as if the weight of her fears pressed down on them all. Clara felt the group's bond tighten, a shared warmth crafted from empathy. We're here for you, Sarah said, her hand reaching across the table toward Lila. It's okay. You're safe now. Lila looked up, tears glistening in her eyes, and Clara felt a pang of protectiveness rise within her. They had faced chaos together, and now they could help this young woman navigate her own storm. You're not alone anymore, Clara assured her gently. Ethan, sensing the intensity in the room, quickly tried to lighten the mood. How about we whip up something to eat? Nothing warms the heart like a good meal. Good idea! Let us make it a feast, Jack chimed in. As the group started to gather ingredients, Clara caught Lila watching them with a mix of wonder and disbelief. There was a spark of hope starting to glow in her eyes, and that glimmer urged Clara's heart to swell. Laughter filled the kitchen as they laughed over shared recipes, the sounds echoing off the walls like music. But through it all, Clara felt a strange tug in her heart. The idea of what Lila had been through haunted their joyous moment like a secret left unspoken. As they prepared, Clara couldn't shake the sense that Lila's arrival was more than just coincidence. She sensed a deeper connection, a purpose woven from her own past struggles. What if Lila's journey could help her understand herself better? Just then, a loud crash echoed from the back room, shattering their makeshift kitchen choir. Clara felt her blood run cold. Something was off. Did you hear that? She whispered, her heart racing as she exchanged worried glances with her friends. Yes, Ethan said, eyes wide. What was that? Clara stepped cautiously toward the noise, every instinct screaming that they weren't out of the woods just yet. What awaited them now? Clara pushed the door to the back room open slowly, her heart thudding in her chest. She could feel the air shift, cold and heavy, as if the atmosphere itself was warning her. You could practically hear the tension, stretching tight like a bowstring ready to snap. Stay close, she whispered over her shoulder to the others. They nodded, lingering at a distance as if drawn back by an unseen force. The faint light illuminated the path, casting shadows that danced ominously against the wall. Hello? Clara called out, her voice echoing in the stillness. No response. Just silence. She took a cautious step inside, the floor creaking beneath her weight. The room was small and cluttered, filled with the remnants of junk and forgotten treasures. Old books, dusty candles, and jars that had long lost their contents cluttered the shelves. It was a mess, a stark contrast to the vibrant laughter from moments ago. Then she saw a toppled stack of boxes in the corner. Pieces of parchment fluttered like anxious birds, having spilled from their resting places. Clara squatted to examine them, her fingers brushing over the crinkled edges. What's going on? Sarah's voice came from behind. Clara didn't turn, too focused on the papers, her mind racing. Were they clues? A warning? Just looking, she said, flipping a few pages. Suddenly, something caught her eye. It was a map, faded and worn but unmistakable. Clara's pulse quickened. It showed their town, but beyond lay trails and paths that wove into a thick, impenetrable forest. A line marked the route to the next town, the one Lila had mentioned. Clara? Ethan's voice cut through her thoughts, breaking the spell. She looked back, and the concern on his face made her stomach drop. It's just a map, she began, but there was something in the air, a crackling energy she couldn't shake. Then, almost instinctively, she reached for Lila's hand and guided her to the doorway. They needed to understand what they were getting into. Lila, look at this. Lila approached slowly, her expression shifting from weariness to curiosity. What is it? She leaned closer, squinting at the faded lines and symbols. It shows all these paths leading out of town, Clara explained. This one, she pointed to a route that veered sharply off the straight line to the neighboring town. It's not the safest. A flicker of recognition crossed Lila's face, and Clara felt the surge of connection again. That was the route we were supposed to take, but we never made it there. Not like this. Ethan moved closer to get a better look. What do you mean? Lila swallowed hard. There are dangers in the forest, monsters people don't talk about. A hush fell over the group. The laughter from earlier faded, replaced by a palpable tension. What kind of monsters? Jack asked, his voice steady despite the uncertainty creeping into the room. Some people are taken. They don't come back. And if they do, Lila's voice trembled, they aren't the same. Clara felt the warmth of camaraderie flicker, replaced by chilling uncertainty. Just as they were finding safety together, the world outside loomed larger than ever. Could they truly protect Lila, and themselves, from those unknown threats? That's why I need to find my group, Lila pressed, her eyes shining with urgency. Time is running out, I won't give up on them. A quick exchange of glances among the friends lent a shared resolve in the face of fear. They couldn't let her go alone. We can help you, Clara declared, clenching the map in her hand. We'll find your friends. Just then, a noise echoed from beyond the walls, a low growl, primal and fierce, sending shivers down their spines. Did you hear that? Ethan's voice cracked, eyes pinched tight with fear. What if it's... Sarah started, but the words hung heavy in the air, unspoken yet understood. In that split second, Clara knew. This was their moment. They could choose to fight together or run. Together. She shouted, conviction flooding her veins. We stand together. Always. As they firmed up their stance, the cool air grew even colder, as if something dark was drawing near. What awaited them in the shadows? Would they truly uncover the truths that lay beyond the safety of their walls? The growl reverberated through the air, a haunting voice calling them to the edge of the dark unknown. Clara felt a jolt of adrenaline rush through her body. She wasn't sure what was lurking beyond the walls, but the tension had become suffocating, almost tangible, like a thick fog wrapping around them. Stay close, she urged, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for a hidden danger. This was beyond curiosity now. This was survival. Lila's grip tightened around Clara's hand, her eyes wide with fear yet burning with determination. We need to get moving, she said, almost breathless. We can't linger here. Ethan, always the pragmatic one, nodded. There has to be another way out. We can't go out the front. Maybe there's a back door? Sarah suggested, glancing around the clutter of the room. As if answering her doubts, the growl sounded again, louder this time, punctuated by the scratching of claws against the wooden floorboards in the hallway. Clara felt her breath hitch. We have to find that door now. They moved as one, searching the perimeter of the cramped room. Old furniture stood like sentinels, some toppled over, while dust danced in the dim light. Finally, Clara spotted it, a narrow door tucked away behind a bookshelf, half hidden under a pile of old blankets. Here! Clara cried out, pulling the shelf slightly to get a better grip. As her friends rushed to help her, adrenaline pushed away doubt. They moved the shelf just enough to reveal the door, a grimy handle glinting under the dim light. Help me with it, she urged. The others quickly crowded around, and together they pulled the door open. A gust of cold air rushed out, chilling Clara to the bone. Beyond lay a darkened passageway that slanted downward. Are we really going in there? Jack's voice quivered with uncertainty. Clara took a breath. We have to. We can't go back. She looked at Lila. Your friends are waiting for you. We can do this together. With swift nods, they edged into the passage. The light from the room faded behind them, replaced by an oppressive darkness. They moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the emptiness. Shadows clung to the walls like whispered secrets. Clara felt her heart race with every step. Each sound, every creak, every rustle sent shivers up her spine. Do you think the growling is still behind us? Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Not sure, Ethan replied quietly, casting anxious glances back over his shoulder. But we have to hurry before whatever it is finds us. Lila led the way, a faint flicker of hope mingling with her fear. This way. I can feel it. I know we're getting closer, she said, her voice stronger now. Clara's grip on the map tightened, its edges crumpling beneath her fingers. She knew that whatever lay ahead could be more dangerous than the growl that had sent them scurrying into the depths. But they couldn't turn back now they were in this together. As they ventured deeper into the corridor, the sounds around them shifted. Faint sounds echoing in the background turned into cries, a mix of distress and something unnatural. One cry distinctly echoed louder, merging with the growls and drawing them further into the darkness. What was that? Jack's voice was thick with fear, an edge of panic creeping in. Clara pressed on, her breath quickening. We have to move. That might be Lila's friends. But with every step, the air thickened, tasting of dread and uncertainty, and Clara sensed the shadows closing in around them. They turned a corner, and before them lay a faded wooden door, slightly ajar, light spilling through the narrow crack. They exchanged glances, a silent agreement flowing among them. What awaited them behind that door? They stepped forward, pulses racing, breathing shallow. And just as Clara pushed the door wider, a chilling howl pierced the air. What waited for them on the other side? Were they truly ready to face the creatures lurking in the shadows? Clara stood before the door, heart pounding like a tribal drum, urging them forward into the unknown. The chilling howl echoed around them, vibrating through her bones. She exchanged a quick glance with Ethan, who, despite the fear etched on his face, nodded. The bond they had forged over the previous days, coupled with the strength of their mutual determination, ignited a spark deep within her. Ready? She breathed, her voice low yet resolute. Lila squeezed Clara's hand, and there was a flicker of courage in her wide eyes. Together, she affirmed, the conviction in her tone resonating. Jack and Sarah joined them, forming a circle of solidarity that fortified the air with resolve. Together, they stood on the threshold of change, ready to face whatever lay behind the door. Clara pushed it open, its creaking hinge echoing in the silence. The bright light flooded into the dim corridor, illuminating their path ahead. They stepped through, into a large, cavernous room filled with warmth and flickering shadows from a roaring fire at its center, a stark contrast to the chill of the unknown. Before them stood a group huddled in chairs, faces drawn and weary from days of uncertainty. Clara's heart melted as she recognized the fear reflected in their eyes, the same fear that had compelled Lila to find them. Are you all okay? Lila called, her voice a lifeline that pulled the weary group to attention. They turned, expressions shifting from desolation to a glimmer of hope. A woman, thin and pale, stepped forward, eyes widening in disbelief. Lila? Is it really you? Rebecca! Lila rushed forward, collapsing into the woman's embrace. Clara watched them with tears brimming in her eyes, moved by the rekindling of lost connections, a profound reminder of the strength that lay in community. Soon, laughter replaced anguish as more of Lila's friends joined, their joy igniting a chain reaction throughout the room. The burden of worry began to lift as they shared their stories and reunited with Lila. But Clara felt a subtle shift as the room began to buzz with subdued excitement. What can we do to help you? Someone asked, genuine empathy threading through their tone. Clara felt her heart swell. This was what they had built, a community that supported, rather than divided. We can cook together, Clara proposed, the idea bubbling to the surface. Nothing helps heal the soul quite like a warm meal. Nods of agreement echoed through the group. They moved back to the kitchen, hands clasped together, senses heightened by purpose. Lila's friends contributed ingredients brought from their journey, and soon, laughter and the aroma of simmering spices blended into a vibrant tapestry. The flickering shadows danced around as they sliced, chopped, and stirred a united front against the shadows beyond. Just as Clara felt the warmth of connection wrap around her, she noticed Sarah slipping into the background. Clara approached her, heart full of understanding. "Hey, want to help?" I'm not much of a cook," Sarah said hesitantly. "Neither was I at the beginning," Clara replied, a warm smile breaking through. "But cooking is about connection and sharing. You can do this with us." The warmth of Sarah's hesitant smile blossomed. "Okay, let us give it a shot." Hours slipped away, filled with humor, stories, and camaraderie. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, they had created a feast of celebration of their newfound bonds. As the group gathered around the table, Clara took a moment to drink in the scene. Faces illuminated by the soft glow of candles, laughter spilling over the table. This was family. This was hope. Lila stood at the head of the table, eyes glistening as she addressed everyone. "You all welcomed me with open arms. You gave me a home when I needed it the most." "Together," Clara echoed, raising her cup high. Sarah, feeling newfound courage, joined in, lifting her cup as well, allowing the camaraderie to wash over her. Jack and Ethan followed suit, a growing chorus swelling up from the group, pulling them closer even as they celebrated their collective strength. As the evening unfolded, stories were shared, and laughter echoed, warming their spirits against the chill of the outside world. They had faced the unknown together, and emerged stronger. Clara felt a sense of purpose. She had long sought a network of love and support woven from shared struggles. While the dangers of the world outside still lingered, they now had one another, a family forged in shared warmth and understanding. And as the stars emerged in the night sky, they reflected the light that Clara hoped would continue to shine through the darkness. "This is just the beginning," she thought, as laughter echoed around her. With every mouthful, they transformed their past fears into future possibilities. Clara looked around the table, holding on to that moment with a full heart, knowing they had built something unbreakable this night. This was their story, and they all had a part in it. So, what about you? You need to subscribe now and be a part of this growing community. This is the time to show your support. Take a moment to leave a like. And don't forget to comment below with your thoughts on this ending. It means everything to us. And please share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see hope in action. Don't wait not even one more second to share. They deserve to be inspired.